It's funny. I used to drink coffee with all kinds of cream and sugar, and that was sort of what made it tolerable. And over the years, I eliminated the cream and then the sugar, and now it tastes odd to me if it's sweet and creamy. So it's just how things evolve, I suppose.
So true. All right. So it is noon right now. We'll get started, and we're just going to put on the new the banner. There we go. And thank you so much. I am going to let the viewers know that a lot of things that happen actually happen because of LinkedIn. And that is how we connected, actually. And Tahira, I have no idea when we had connected on LinkedIn. I do apologize. But one time you met me in Kane Mosque, where Rob and we go to the same one. I had no idea who this lady was. I'm like, oh, HR, okay, So anyways, welcome to the Chai with IamAlnoor show. I appreciate you both being co-hosts here today. And this month is all about careers, especially with what's going on right now. There is many people who have been furloughed, whose jobs have evolved and changed, and they're not able to do the things that they were doing. And here, the both of you are who decided to do a career 180. And we can't blame COVID for this. I think it was the tires or something about that. I get tired when, Rob, it's an inside joke, but I'll bring you in on this in just a moment. And I've even known you, Rob, like both of us were recognized international magazine. And we reached out after that. So thank you both. First, we're connected on LinkedIn. Rob, I know you're not too much on Facebook, but thank you so much for joining me on this Facebook Live. And I do see that we're a couple people online right now watching. So would love if the individuals who are watching can please share where they're from and a little bit about what you'd like to hear about careers. We're going to put both the co-hosts in the hot seat. It's beautiful, hot outside, and that's the way I like it, right? Just like hot or garam chai. And I'll start with introducing you, Tahira, here in right now. Is that, as I shared just a couple of moments ago, initially when we met, we were going to connect more so because of your HR background, and that is also my background. From there, we didn't connect then until a little later, and you told me you'd switched your careers, and now you're a mindfulness facilitator and you're founder of the Chain Reaction. So before I go further into letting people know more about you, can you tell me why the Chain Reaction?
Do you mean why the name or why the
yes?
Why the name? Yeah. So absolutely. So basically, everything that we do has an impact on the next moment. So I really built the Chain Reaction as sort of the kind of a witty name, if you will, because everything we do has a kind of domino effect, right, on everything else that we do. So how can we be present in that moment and carry mindfulness throughout our day in all the different tasks and activities that we engage in? Because, mindfulness can be applicable with sleep, with food, with eating, with our mood, with all the different activities. So that was sort of the method behind the madness with the name.
Love it. And so HR and then going into mindfulness, and I can let people know why I went into HR. For me, it was I am very much of like, I wanted the softer side of HR. And then it came to performance appraisals and it came to pension and benefits. And I'm like, that is not the type of HR I wanted. I wanted more of the empowerment and all of that. Now, I'll go further into introducing you, but I'll just jump over to Rob right now. And when we met, you were with Tunes as well as doing a little bit of your journalism and the getting on camera. Now, you were helping individuals who have been furloughed, who have been, the companies were downsizing because of the economy or whatever the reason was. And you were helping individuals come into terms with unemployment. And here you went from a steady position to something that was, as a contract. And I also like to share with the audience is that your company name, EQ for media. So EQ, emotional intelligence, and that's also what Tahira says. So it's brilliant that both of you are here today. I'm just so excited. Could you also please tell us a little bit about why you went with EQ for media?
Well, maybe a little bit of creativity on my part, but it's exactly what you said. Thinking about what I wanted to do in launching this, what is really a video marketing company, but wanting to do things differently. I tell people make connections, not commercials, and so it seemed to be quite fitting to have a name that to me defines that.
That's fantastic. I jump between the comments that are coming online, and we see Maureen Wixon here, and I wanted to give her a shout out. She's been fantastic. She comes on these shows, and both of us know her. So,
yeah, hey, Maureen.
Maureen, yay! Thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, please do share those. Maureen, please do tell us where you're signing in from. I know where you are. And why is this relevant to you with the work you do? So I love that both of us are, all three of us are tapping into the creativity. And that is the soft skill that is, many people think that they don't need to share that. But that's one of the crucial things that lots of employers are looking for, because things have changed. So Maureen is saying, hey, Rob, make connections. Isn't that lovely that she's, she is the relationship building expert with everything that she does. So it's lovely that she's joined. So now going back to Tahira, you talk about mindfulness facilitator, and you've done this not only for institutions here in Calgary, like the Bow Valley College, and how great is it? Because students are facing so many challenges, this uphill battle of not only figuring out finances, career changes, but also Bow Valley College is an influx of immigrant students who, not even immigrants, who have come to Canada to study and thinking about mindfulness aspects. But you've also done that for several other organizations. And this program was developed by Google, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm trained in the mindfulness and emotional intelligence program that was developed at Google. And so the workshops that I deliver are either it's more like a 2-day full-on program, or sort of 1-hour workshop. So that's what I delivered at Bow Valley College was a 1-hour workshop. And that one was actually specifically for their faculty. So supporting their faculty association with self-compassion. And then also run some with University of Calgary, and that was more for the students with stress management and sort of navigating through exam time and all that stuff that comes along with it.
That is fantastic. Now, you know what? I'll jump to Rob, and then I'll come to this, because both of you have got this thread that's running through that's really fascinating. So, Rob, I've shared that you were with Tombs Career, and your background is in radio journalism. And honestly, when I hear you speak, a smile comes from you've got that voice, and it is such a magnetic voice. Podcasts is you've been doing things that you've been playing around with some of your uploads on LinkedIn, where you've got your voice going, the voice is being shared. How did you make that shift from the broadcasting, journalism, into being in career transition? So we have had this conversation a long time ago. Would you please share with our viewers?
Well, it was really by accident. My broadcast career was short-lived. My wife at the time had landed another job in a different location from where I was working in radio. And as I started applying for opportunities where she was going to work, the first gig that came up was a corporate communications job that sort of enticed me to go to the dark side, I guess, as we call it when you're in journalism. And I then spent 20 years in communications and marketing types of positions, a lot of which were in the Canadian post-secondary system. So I have maybe some things in common there with Tahira on that front. As I sort of grew in my career, you're always looking for ways to expand your skill set, right? Or at least you should be. And one of the things on my plate was I'm going to go take some certified coaching courses. And I had that actually planned to do. And as it turned out, the last post-secondary gig that I was in came to an end. And that was my sort of experience, I guess, with departing a company it was not my choice to do so. And so it was interesting because I went and did these coaching courses anyway. So I learned all about how to kind of be there and create the space and, some of the leadership principles and things like that. And then this opportunity appeared from one of my colleagues in the coaching course. She said, Rob, we're really busy. This was about 2015, I think. Just when the local economy here in Calgary was starting to really struggle because of oil and gas struggling. And she said, Rob, we've got a lot of outplacement happening. Companies are really downsizing. We could use some help with this. And, of course, my first thought was, well, who would want to do that, right? Like go meet with people who've just been fired. But I took the leap and I thought, okay, I'm going to trust myself a little bit here and trust my skill set. And it's been an interesting journey. I still do a little bit of that, by the way, just sort of on call.
Love it. And you have a mutual connection over there?
At Tombs?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, well, Martha, I think, right?
Yes, that's right.
Martha Wilson.
You connect with her again, Martha Wilson.
Yeah, she's great. You guys can get together and talk about glasses fashion. That's her thing too.
Oh my God. When I reached out to her to tell her about that, she goes, oh my God, IamAlnoor. And then her profile picture, I just fell in love with it. She goes, it's not like me, but it is you. It's not like her to show that, but when she's comfortable, she is that. So I met her through the HR Networking Association or something like that way back when, and she'd asked me to moderate, and I was just like, oh my gosh, so I've known her for so many years as well. So now hop back to Tahira over here. So Tahira, what you shared with me is that, you too decided to take that leap of faith and you went with this. What was that pivot? What was that ember that you were going through? And again, we've had this conversation a long time ago. I'm so glad that we're bringing it. And, it's important to share these things because people may think like, what is she doing? So if you don't mind sharing with us, what was that ember that lit your fire that got you to this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it was a pretty low point, actually. I hit burnout and it was quite rough. I was quite young and it hit me at a young age that I was in denial about it. I was living in Toronto. I had a good job. Everything was as it should be, like when we're told how life should be, that's what it was. And I started, having stress that showed up as physical symptoms in my body. So it was, I couldn't ignore it. Right. And that sort of set me off on this journey of looking after myself more intentionally, trying to understand, the different elements of our health, like physical and mental, and how they're so strongly tied. And it's very underestimated. We don't really give it the weight that it needs. And so I kind of went on this journey of self-development. And I was still working in HR at the time. And well, when I hit burnout, I quit. And then after a little while, I continued to start working, was back in HR, and I was kind of looking for the next thing. I felt like there was something more that I wanted to do, but I didn't quite know what. And I was having trouble sleeping, and my naturopath suggested that I attend a 10-day silent meditation retreat, which I thought was absolutely wild. I was like, no way, I don't need to go and sit in silence for 10 days. That's a bit intense. But I also wanted to learn to meditate through an actual course. So I attended the Vipassana meditation course in Alberta, which is in Youngstown, Alberta. And that totally changed my life. It completely transformed me. And I knew that I wanted to find a way to share these tools with people in a more digestible format. So not, tell everyone to go and do a 10-day silent course. And that's when I came across the course at Google. I took the course, and then I went on to be certified teacher of that course too. And now I'm able to share that with others in, it's more based in like neuroscience and scientific studies. So it really makes it tangible and accessible with practices. And that's sort of the journey of how I came to be.
That's quite interesting that you went on a 10-day retreat, and that retreat was more of the silence thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, after I've gotten to know you and you've broken we've gotten to know each other, and I joke around with you and tease you a lot. So, folks, I'll share something else. I connected with Tahira on Instagram. I saw this picture, and when you see Tahira, you'll be like, okay, I'll do this, and she will blow over and fall down. However, we are just into your honor, your worship. Let's just get these pipes built, because we have somebody in the house. I don't want to use the GUNS word, but I'll use the pipes word, because she can actually do this work. So I joke around with you a lot around that. How is that, using that as well in your everyday practice, helping you, and even doing the mindfulness, because all of these things are all different. Would you mind sharing something about that? And, I think there's importance in the path that I'm going in sharing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think just shed a little bit more light is that specific video that you're talking about is this video of me flipping tires, because I really enjoy working out. So my personal trainer at the time, said, flip some tires. And I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's do it. So, I've been working out for many years. It's been a big part of my both physical and mental health. And, learning to meditate and becoming a mindfulness facilitator has only improved these certain areas of my life. So now I'm just more focused on my workout. I'm able to be a bit more attentive and really maximize my workout, which is what has happened in all these different areas of my life, which is why I feel like mindfulness is so crucial to have the skills, because we're able to integrate practices and learnings into all the different areas of our life. Like I mentioned, sleep or, eating. How often are we watching TV and eating, and we get digestive issues and all these things? Like, it's all connected, right? It's all connected. So my practice and developing a mindfulness practice, and now also sharing it with others, has only, bettered the other elements of my life. Really, it's only really improved it. And that's what I love to share with people, because mindfulness is not this really big, daunting concept that seems, that's hard to integrate. It's really simple to break it down. It's just that we haven't really been taught how to do that. We haven't been given the tools and frameworks to actually do that. And so that's where I come in the picture.
That's awesome. And Rob does different kind of mindfulness activities. He prefers to swoosh down the ski slopes at what it was like. They recorded this as the jet engine taking off. Isn't that right? So to the ice and camping and all of that. how is that incorporated, and what do you get out of the mindfulness in the different sense? Where I'm going with this is that with so much stress that's happening, even with the Career 180, this is one area that we're not tapping into. So I would love it if you could share something about that, please.
Well, for me, with the skiing, it's just that sense of freedom.
Mhm.
And I wasn't a skier growing up. A lot of people don't know that. My wife is a skier and grew up skiing, and I didn't, which is strange for a BC boy like me. But I didn't, and I was 34 when I said I would take up skiing.
Last year, right?
Yeah, right. Just last year, yeah. And so I took some lessons and kind of did things the right way, or the way I felt was the right way, because I didn't want to break a hip or anything. The older we get, I think the more challenging it is to learn these new athletic activities. So, but I'm glad I did. Looking back on it, that's one of my ways to kind of escape the proverbial rat race, and just escape from my own mind, the race in my own mind, and just enjoy that freedom. And I think the same goes for all of the outdoor activities that we do. We do a lot of hiking and camping and just getting out in nature. And I often say that for me, being outside is my meditation.
I love that. Now I'm going to go a little bit deeper over here and throw you both under the bus. And what I mean by that, and that was the thing about this session and what I called it, jump off the cliff, because those are some pretty drastic changes to go out for your passion. Now, with Tahira, I know it was like a health issue that pivoted that. But what did your family members say? What did your friends say? What were some of the things that were going on in your mind? As well as with you, Rob, you are, and I don't know who would like to go first. Maybe you can toss a coin or something like that. And for you, Rob, to go, well, I will now talk about this. And I know the reasoning behind this. And I will not talk about it right now because I'd like you to share that before we go into the reasoning and where the world is going towards. So who would like to go first in sharing? And I would like you to be as authentic and honest as possible, please.
Go
Sure.
ahead, Tahira.
Sure, I can go. Okay. So, what started out as this health challenge, as you mentioned, Eleanor, was it sort of transformed into me just finding more inner clarity and understanding myself and what I truly want to do, because I could have stayed in the HR route and just sort of gone through the motions and been okay with it. But I felt I had this inner knowing that I wanted to have more impact. I wanted to go deeper and help others in a deeper element, because HR, one of the elements I loved about HR was being able to support others and help. And, it's just kind of funny that after I did this meditation course, that's what I ended up wanting to share with others. I had done the meditation course for myself, right? So it was kind of cool how that transition happened. And in terms of deciding to sort of, leave that specific role and start to run my own show, I definitely had a variety of feedback. Lots of support, definitely lots of support, especially from my family, which was awesome. I had some close friends who, were skeptical, and rightly so. I mean, I appreciate the concern and some of the, pieces that they brought to my attention. But I had, you're crazy. This is crazy for doing this. And I was like, well, if I don't do it now, I just knew that it's going to happen. I knew that if I took another role in HR, it would only be a matter of time until I said, well, now what? What's coming next? I knew I needed to do something else. So there was a very deep inner knowing that was undeniable. And I had no choice but to listen to it, because I knew it would come out inevitably and eventually. So I figured might as well start now. There's no time like now, right? It's what I preach. So might as well practice what I preach. There's no point in in waiting if the other pieces are in line. And I think when we find a sense of alignment to our passion or purpose, or even if it's something as simple as what we want to eat for dinner, like when we have alignment to something, it's so strong and it feels right when we follow it, and we also show up better for ourselves and for others. And that's what I think really is our gift to everybody. We're happier, we're healthier, we're more pleasant to be around. Like who wouldn't want all these things? And it really filters down to all the different elements. Like we sleep better, we have better immune systems, like the whole, cycle of things. I think it's a chain reaction, really. So that's my
Thank you. And folks, it is true. Thank God she's out of HR, because we were able to connect, and I'm able to joke around with her. Kidding. Now, Rob, I also do that to you because I wanted to thank you so much, because you took the initiative and reached out to me and said, hey, we are here in Calgary, and the bizarre thing is we're actually, in next neighborhood. I'm supposed to have thought I was moving earlier, but we never know what things are happening. Isn't that bizarre that we were then able to connect offline? Now, where I'm going with this is that you can get a sense of what the other person is doing, but what would you tell somebody who is on that fence of where they are and how to push past that fear? And, in your coaching as an International Coach Federation, whole certificate holder and all of those things, what is one key message you can share with our viewers and anybody else?
Well, I think it comes down to really having an understanding of yourself, for one thing. And we know there are a myriad of assessments out there available for people to go through, right? And so I think it's worth exploring, at least giving it some thought yourself, if not looking into some of those tools to help to provide some clarity. For me, we have in coaching, we have what we sometimes just call the 4 planning questions. And when we know a little bit more about ourselves and our strengths and our values, we can then sit down and say, well, okay, what do I really want? Right? What do I want? Why is it important to me? How would I know if I got it, right? How would I measure that? And then how can I get it? How can I start to take action? So that's the four planning questions. And of course, you can apply those to a number of different strategic opportunities or options as you kind of meander through your career. But I think those are, especially what do you want, right, is something to always kind of revisit, and acknowledging what's happening in the circumstances around you in that context.
Wow, that is quite interesting. And I was trying to type this up, but something's happened and error happened and all of that. So we'll come up with that. But what I got out of this is that we are so afraid to know ourselves. And a couple of days ago, actually, I had a doctor's appointment, not on Monday, and Tuesday. And I was not able to get there right on time. They said, that's okay. But when I got there, finally, they said, well, you're just a minute too late. And the old me would have been wallowing in all of that. And I know with what's going on, I decided to go to Glenmore Reservoir. And the appointment is at Glenmore Landing. And I walked along by the lake. And I always say I've been looking for love. And I spontaneously created this video. And that is what it's about, knowing yourself and not being afraid to manifest and look for that. And I think in careers, in taking that dive, it sometimes is important to look at why do we keep pushing through and going for the things that are not working, hoping that it will work. It's like, you see somebody just, and think about this, that in some ways I said, that's good. where you see little kids, when they fall down, they get back up again and they do it. Because what will happen? That will happen. But if you're talking about careers and you're trying to push through, and this is going to be impossible, what is that I am possible going to turn out? And that is what both of you have done. So what are your final words that you can both share? Rob, I'd like you to go first with this for any of your viewers watching. It's 12:30 right now. Comedy, how fast time went. And what is some truth bombs you'd like to drop over here?
Well, I think something Tahira alluded to earlier was that things for her were the way they were supposed to be, right? And a lot of us were kind of raised with this expectation based on a formula, work hard, go to school, get your degree, get a job, climb the corporate ladder, and everything will be fine. You'll retire with your pension and, life will be good. And I think, if you haven't recognized it yet, we have to open our eyes to the fact that things are very much changing. We've got a growing gig economy. We've got a very short lifespan of companies these days relative to years ago. People are choosing to move more frequently, every 2 to 5 years on average. And it's contractors are doing well in this kind of economy where gigs are in demand. So we have to think of work differently. And when we do that and we match that up with our strengths and our skills and our values, things can work out quite well.
I love that. You captured all of that brilliantly there. Tahira, what about you? And then I will even share about why the video. So go ahead.
Yeah, I would say kind of to add on to that is something that's really helped me is to try and release control to find alignment, because we're so, gripping to whether it's a vision or, what we currently have or things or places, and we sometimes miss other opportunities that could be out there. We also get so stuck to our own identities, right? And when we're able to release a little bit of control, which can be very scary. I'm saying this, but I know it's easier said than done. But when we go through that process and we had this, we found some clarity and we have some inner knowing of what it is we might want to do, release the control of what has already been. Let the past be in the past and allow ourselves to be in the now and in this present moment, and just pay attention to that and see what happens if we follow it. It doesn't mean we have to stick with it, but it's worth exploring. So that's kind of a notion that's been really helpful for me, is to release control to help find alignment. So I would sort of, offer that to everybody. Just kind of explore, just stay open-minded, explore and discover yourself, and might be surprised and see what happens.
I love that. Thank you both so much. It is now 12:33. I'd like to wrap up, unless if you have a couple more moments. What do you think, Rob? Should we get Tahira to walk us through half a minute mindfulness? I'm
Sure.
just bring that up right now. She didn't even know that it was going.
Put her on the spot.
Of course, that's what I do.
I'm in.
Excellent. So let us go through that. Tell us what we need to do.
Yeah, I think what would actually be, what's kind of coming up for me, I think would be really cool is to do a short little micro practice, a 3-breath practice. So it's one of these practices that you can do sort of anytime, anywhere, and most time nobody will even know you're doing it. So I love it. So on the first breath, we bring awareness to our breath. So just kind of notice the sensation that we're feeling. On the second breath, we relax the body. So maybe drop our shoulders, release our jaw. And then on our third breath, ask yourself, what's important now? It's a really great way to kind of reground and refocus into this moment, to reprioritize when we have so many distractions and things coming at us. And just an opportunity for us to refocus here and now and really identify what's important and what's going to help us move forward. So maybe we can all do this together. Right? So you can close your eyes if you'd like, or leave them open, whatever you're comfortable with. And on the first breath, just bring awareness to the sensation of your breath, where you feel it in your body. And on the second breath, relax your body. Maybe dropping the shoulders or unclenching the fists. And on your third breath, ask yourself what's important now. When we're ready, we can bring our awareness back to our virtual space. Hoping this can help us with a little bit of a attention setting and kind of reprioritizing as we move forward in our day.
That's awesome. And what happened was I am a shallow breather, and right away it brought my attention to that. And why are we shallow breathers? And there is some sort of a fear that is going on. And it talks about that control piece that you had talked about as well. And we're not trusting our gut to go with the flow. Once I brought that there, and it's knowing that what you're good at is what Rob talked about, the strengths piece. You're allowed to open up your rib cage a little bit more, and you're trusting that flow to come in. And when you're able to do that, is that rib cage going to expand anymore? Perhaps not, but you are already aware. And I think that's also what you've done is going into your passions, Rob, is get on camera, is that we've all had to evolve and get in front of camera. So both of you, how can everybody get a hold of you? Do you have any books, any shows, anything? I see, Tahira, you're killing it also on LinkedIn now. Thank you for finally joining the party. Rob has been taking over that show for the longest time there. Just kidding. But that's great that you are coming on board as well. So how do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm accessible through, I have my email, which is hello@chainreaction.life, or my website, www.chainreaction.life. Also doing Instagram Lives every Thursday, so feel free to join me tonight, paired up with a naturopath and bringing lots of different sort of topics and tips and tools. And Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, find me anywhere. Happy to connect.
Yay, excellent. And I'm waiting for, I don't think I'm going to go to Kane, our mosque, Rob, just so that I can do the face-to-face, because I've still been asking you. By the way, Rob, she also kicks it up on the mountain. So she's now become a mountain girl, and I've begged, because the Grizzlies would be like, okay, you know what? I'm sorry. It's yours. And so, talking about the path, what path leads to your camera there, Rob?
Well, probably the main path is getoncamera.com. And I would certainly encourage people to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I do spend a lot of my time. I am on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, but I definitely concentrate the bulk of my efforts on LinkedIn. And by email as well at eq4media@gmail.com.
That's awesome. By the way, Rob, thank you ever so much. He's the one that created my sizzle reel that is on the YouTube. So thank you once again for jumping on board and coming to,
That was fun.
LinkedIn. Yeah, that was awesome. I tried so hard to get him into chai, but he just, I don't know, he broke out in hives and all of that. Thank you so much. We'll be back next Thursday, again, talking about career and life journeys. And next week, too, I have an incredible guest. I'm just waiting for one more to confirm. And we're going to talk about, how sometimes we think that our life career paths are going to go in one line, but this is what it always does. Trust the flow, trust the process. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm also on YouTube, where this show will be posted on. Until next Thursday, let's come on, let's drink chai and keep building community. Lots of love. Bye-bye.